retired, Kevin Colwell from the U.S. Army and Operator Style. Hey, Kevin.
Hi, Chrissy. How are you today?
I'm doing very good, friend. How are you?
Doing well, as well as could, as well as
Right?
any of us could be expected in this stay-at-home, self-quarantine era where we find ourselves in.
Absolutely. I have a lot of questions on that because I've been following you and I know
Yeah.
you're staying healthy over there. Watching that. But first and foremost, I want to start by saying thank you for your service, which is officially coming to a retirement here very shortly. What have you done? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Wow. It's my background's long. I've been in the service almost 30 total years. In fact, as you mentioned, I'm being medically retired, combat wounded, medically retired. Here, let's see, today is what, Wednesday? So Thursday, tomorrow is my last day in the service. And then Friday, effective Friday, I'll be retired. So I started in the service in 19, what is it? Geez, January of 1989. And my whole entire career has been in the special operations, in the elite special operations realm of the military and the Army. I started out initially as a communications specialist um, on what they call kind of the support side of an Army Special Forces unit. And after just a short period of time doing that, I saw all the Green Berets, as we kind of are unofficially known, saw all the Green Beret guys in the unit and said I wanted to be one of those guys. And I'd been an athlete all my life and fitness, buff and things like that. So I felt that I had what it would take to do that. And lo and behold, in 1991, I finished what's called the Special Forces Qualification Course and officially earned the right to call myself a Green Beret, which, by the way, is more of a nickname than anything, not really an official name. So the headgear that we wear is a green beret um, that modeled itself after the storied British and Australian SAS, or Special Air Service. So years and years and years ago, the SAS wore a green beret, and as the U.S. Army Special Forces was kind of being born out of the backside of World War II, they unofficially adopted the Green Beret of the SAS. And I'll tell you, we'll circle back to that here in a few minutes. But since then, I've served all the way up from being a young sergeant in Special Forces all the way up to now, retiring as a sergeant major in E9, which is the highest enlisted rank in the military, in the Army. So let's see, I've done, as a Green Beret, we're parachute qualified. So and some Green Berets are qualified in two different types of parachuting. From the first that everybody is called static line parachuting, where your parachute is hooked to the plane, and as you exit the plane, it automatically pulls the parachute for you. Those are generally at lower altitudes, anywhere from as low as 500 feet if you're jumping into a combat situation, to about 1,200 to 1,500 feet for general training purposes and things of that nature. So, and then also what's called, a lot of people refer to it as HALO, high altitude, low opening, but the correct name for it is military free fall parachuting. And HALO is one portion or one half of that. So between those, I've jumped out of planes several hundred times over my career. We've
My
deployed.
palms are sweating.
You know what the crazy thing is? Some people love it and some people hate it. Even some of my fellow Green Berets, it is a requirement to be airborne and parachute qualified to be a Green Beret. But some guys honestly don't like it, and they kind of just grit their teeth and bear it. I, on the other hand, love it and enjoy it. And especially the free fall parachuting at altitudes up to as high as 25,000 feet.
Oh my.
I've had several jumps, which require, of course, oxygen, and almost 2 minutes of free fall time from 25,000 feet down to 4,000 feet where we open our parachutes typically. So it's an exciting career field. You get to serve. First and foremost, the most important kind of aspect of it is the brotherhood, the camaraderie. The fraternal aspect of it is enormous. Guys in the units I've served with are godparents, godfathers to other teammates, children, and things like that. We've all been in each other's weddings, there for family events and life, and we literally. Um, Special Forces is based around a 12-man team, sometimes called an ODA or Operational Detachment Alpha. And those teams, those 12 guys, become very close over years of serving together. And as we know in life, whether it's in the military or otherwise, running into adversity, I should say, builds character, and the people that you go through adversity with, you're often bonded with for years, if not life. And so, serving in that small team element with 12 other guys or 11 other guys, and in some austere environments and dangerous environments, and even just training, which can be dangerous with explosives and parachuting and weapons use. All of those things come with inherent risk. It builds this brotherhood and this bond that's nearly unbreakable. So it's been a great ride.
So I would kind of guess over a 30-year career, you've maybe had a couple of deployments along the way.
Yeah, so I've deployed a number of times. Deployed to Afghanistan, deployed to Korea, deployed to Kosovo. The unit has deployed a lot of other places. Some of those I sat out when I was younger. I had a handicapped and terminally ill child that caused me to sit out a lot of, even though I was still in the unit, I didn't go on as many deployments as some of the other guys in the unit, but I've had enough.
Wow. So this isn't something that we talked about, but it's making me think about it right now because it's reality. We are all stuck, some people say. So I think that needs to be thought very hard about. We're blessed to be inside of really a safe home here. What is it like, do you think, right now for our service members who are deployed and we have this quarantine and pandemic? Any clue? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it's interesting. Obviously, I'm still connected to the community, and so a lot of interesting things are happening. First and foremost, the military is attempting to, first and foremost, I should say, the operations are still ongoing around the globe, and obviously they're taking the same precautions that we are as much as possible. But military as a whole, the U.S. military has done what they call a stop movement. So basically, if you were, say, stationed in Germany and due to come rotate, usually every couple, 2, 3 years, people move around the country or the world. They call it a permanent change of station, a PCS move. So if you're scheduled to move from, say, Germany in this example back here to a base in the States, or as you know, from Hawaii to Louisiana, things like that, or Missouri, I think it was, yeah, from your family's experience, those things are all being stopped right now. In fact, I had to actually double check with a couple different sources to make sure I was still supposed to travel down to Fort Knox about a month ago to do what's called final out processing, all your final paperwork and things like that, down at Fort Knox, Kentucky. So I had to actually double check because basically the military has stopped moving people from one location to another. And so what they've done is their best they can to kind of isolate The mission still has to continue, but what we're not going to do is rotate new people into that mission or those people out of that mission. So in some cases, it pardon the French, can suck for some people and some for the families too.
Yeah.
If say you were, and I'm just making an example, you were in Afghanistan serving, you did your 6 or 7 months over there and you're due to come home, and now the coronavirus hits, and now they're saying, well, we're not sending new troops in, so therefore you're staying. So now you're there an extra month, two, whatever, and your family's still without you back here in the States. And so it's been significant. It's extended people in combat theaters and overseas and kept them there longer than they were supposed to. It's created a lot of turmoil.
So we should definitely look at our safe walls and say thank you for
Yeah, I
being
think
here and at home.
I like to tell my friends and family and my 21-year-old son that in most cases in life it could always be worse. And so I think as long as you still have your incomes coming in, and if all you are is stuck at home with your kids and your family and kind of going stir crazy, you're not too bad off, in my opinion.
Hey, we have a question on here, Kevin, from Andrea, and it says, do you have to be active duty to be special forces, or can members of the reserves be on a team?
That's a great question. And so they let me preface one thing. She asked the reserves. She said the reserves. There are a couple different reserves in general means the Army Reserve in this case, or the Navy Reserve, Marine Corps Reserve. And then there's also the National Guard, which are very, very similar, obviously still part of the Army. But the Army Reserves or the Navy Air Force Reserves are different from the National Guards. In the case of Army Special Forces, like myself, there are 5 active duty groups, and a group is roughly, let's just call it 1,500 people. So there are 5 active duty Special Forces groups, and then there are actually 2 National Guard Army Special Forces groups. They are scattered around the country. There's both 19th Special Forces Group and 20th Special Forces Groups, which are National Guard, Army National Guard Special Forces units. So that's a great question, because actually most of my career was spent in one of these Army National Guard Special Forces units. However, I was an active duty member of that National Guard Special Forces unit. The majority of the members of those National Guard Special Forces units are actually still have civilian lives, civilian careers, whatever it may be. We've have guys that are anything from blue collar guys who own their own companies or do freelance work, to white collar guys, attorneys, chiefs of police, a lot of guys in law enforcement, federal air marshals. And then a lot of those guys also don't, there are a fair amount of them that actually don't hold full-time jobs. And what they do is stay busy with us, doing various different assignments on a kind of a temporary or piecemeal basis. Or what they do is go overseas and do jobs as sometimes people call them contractors. And they work in similar capacities that we do when we're overseas, but as a civilian contractor working for the U.S. government. So, great question. Yes, the bottom line, short answer is yeah. I know that was the long answer, but the short answer is yes. Guys and soon to be girls, women, can participate in special operations units in the reserve components or National Guard.
So you've got many things going on here in comments. You transitioned us beautifully. You mentioned about people having the civilian life. So
Yeah.
you are transitioning to a civilian life now with retirement. two things. We do need to talk about operator style, but I
Yeah.
did a little bit of checking on my friend Kevin and saw that you've had some. It's okay to stay healthy out there and don't use this quarantine as a way not to. So I saw you using a tree and some
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know,
yeah,
distance training. Any
yeah.
tips
So
out there for people?
yeah, so as a in special operations or special forces units, we're an elite organization. You've got to stay fit your entire career. And I likened it to some people, especially people around Columbus, Ohio, where you and I are both located, but maybe not all our viewers. But it's not a big military town, so unless you have a family member in the military, there's not a lot of people that know, what that entails. And being a Green Beret, we joke a lot of times that our Navy SEAL brethren, which are special operations units, also they're elite units. They're a little more famous than we are because they like to make movies and write books, and that's a kind of an inter-service rivalry joke that we have with them. Whereas Green Berets we're actually we have a phrase that's called the quiet professionals. We're supposed to be, and then we're expected to be a little more quiet and discreet about what we do. But yeah, I'm transitioning, as you mentioned. And one of the things I like to do, especially, is try to keep a following up to, for the company for operator style, which I'll get to here in a second, but also with fitness and wellness and mental health things. I've struggled with some of that, PTSD, depression, anxiety, things like that from some of my experiences, not only wartime experiences, but also some things in my personal life that have happened over the years. And so I believe in a holistic kind of approach to wellness and fitness and mental health that kind of all interconnect. So I think what you were mentioning, you must have seen on one of my Instagram and Facebook pages, was that I was using some of the exercise bands, the rubber exercise bands, and I had wrapped it around a tree in order to do a bench press movement right out in my backyard, and just did a short video about that you don't need a gym and you don't need a 20 or 30 or $50 a month membership or a personal trainer or anything, in order to get out and do some things and get outside, get out from being cooped up, and still try to maintain some health and fitness from a cardiovascular and fitness standpoint, but also maybe more importantly right now from a mental health standpoint.
No excuses.
Yeah, right, right.
Exactly. All right. So you mentioned operator style, and I am wearing is it Mac V Sog? Is that how I would say
Yeah,
it?
Mac
Okay. Wearing
VSOG.
this shirt. Tell us a
Yep.
little bit about operator style.
So operator style, I've got one of our polo shirts on, and for everybody, I'll hold up a logo kind of close here. Um, this is the logo for a company called Operator Style, my company that I'm actually in the process of starting up right now. It's an apparel and lifestyle brand that's based on obviously my military service, and would appeal to veterans and service members, but it's also going to have first responder stuff, shirts and t-shirts and things that are geared towards veterans and service members of all branches and eras of service, first responders, other kind of, for lack of a better word, I'll say heroes, which that word is being redefined right now as we speak, isn't it? But
Perfect.
hero type people. And it's also going to appeal to people that are just generally patriotic. Not to get too political, but it will have, Second Amendment friendly type stuff, which may not be everybody's cup of tea. I appreciate, but it's just going to be an apparel company. Hats, actually wearing one of them here with one of a patch. The patch that's on my hat is a Velcro patch, so it can be interchanged off. Here's a logo patch. I previously held up a decal. Here's a laser engraved thermal mug with the logo on one side and the American flag on the other side that are laser engraved. That's just the beginning. But as you mentioned, you're wearing one of my shirts there. I appreciate that.
Yep.
That's a throwback shirt, if you will, for lack of a better word, to use the vernacular, to an organization, as you mentioned, called MAC, MACV SOG, SOG, and it stands for Military Assistance Command Vietnam Special Operations Group. And what this organization was the elite of the elite during the Vietnam War, from Army Green Berets like myself to Navy SEALs, even joint agency with the CIA, all those, everything that was the most top secret stuff of the Vietnam War missions, activities, um, ran through the organization MACVSOG. And this past summer, we kind of did a soft launch of Operator Style down at the annual Special Forces Association convention, and a lot of those guys are older. What those are is former and current members of Army Special Forces. There are chapters all around the country, and once a year they come together in a central location and have a convention. And we took Operator Style and that shirt in particular, along with our other main shirt that just has our main logo on it in a t-shirt form. Took those and the patches and the decals and the mugs down to the Special Forces Association convention and did kind of a soft launch, for lack of a better word. And the shirt you're wearing, Chrissy, is was particularly popular down there because of a lot of the older members of the Special Forces Association were Vietnam vets, and quite a number of them were members of MACV-SOG. So that was a popular shirt. And as I mentioned, it's kind of a throwback shirt, kind of.
So, question for you, because I've got the shirt.
Yep.
I've got one of the mug style
Oh,
mugs.
yeah. The mugs.
I want to get a patch and a decal, and I like the polo that you have or the t-shirts with it. Where do we go find you, and how and when can we order any products?
All right, so a couple answers to that question. Between my retirement and the COVID situation, everything, our website is not up completely yet or at all. There is a landing page right now. It's simply operatorstyle.us. Yeah,
That's
there we
what it'll
go.
look like. You're in the right place.
Yep, that is the right place. So you can go to the site and it will show you the logo and it will say coming soon, and it will allow you to put in your email address, and then from there that will capture that, and when we turn the website on, everyone who has put their email address in will be notified. And then the other way you can reach me is also just by my email address, which is simply Kevin at operatorstyle.us. So no punctuation between the word operator and the word style, just Kevin at operatorstyle.us. If
And
somebody, if somebody
you're
wants,
also on Facebook. You're going there.
yeah. So we're also on Facebook, Operator Style, and we're also on Instagram, Operator Style. So you can find us on both those social media platforms. But right now, until the website turns on, we do have T-shirts like the one Chrissy's wearing. I actually have one of the just the logoed Operator Style shirts. This is in the charcoal gray. It has that was the back with the big logo. There's the front. It's got the American flag on the right sleeve. And we have that shirt. We have the shirt Chrissy's wearing. We have the various couple different patches that can attach to anything with Velcro, which nowadays, like backpacks, school backpacks, these hats, a lot of hats have Velcro on them. We've got the decals, the mugs, all that. We have dozens of shirts actually in development right now with my graphic artist, and a number of them are going to be very, very cool. We're going to branch out to some ones, like I mentioned, that are into the law enforcement, first responder, firefighter. In fact, and then even shirts like general patriotic stuff. We're going to start putting out shirts for 4th of July's, Veterans Day to honor veterans, things like that. So our list of the one thing I can say about this downtime is it has presented us with an opportunity, which I believe we all need to find, the silver linings in anything. And what this has done is kind of hit the pause button for a little bit of time. And it's allowed us to generate a whole bunch of new shirts and sweatshirts and things we're working on. So when we do get the website up, we won't just have the shirt you're wearing, Chrissy, and these couple little patches and decals. We're going to have a whole lineup of stuff.
Okay, so Kevin, I know I've put the request in before, but now that we're live, I'm gonna put it in again. I'm military mom, just saying. And now I'll throw, since you're getting into first responders, I can't find anything that says firefighter mom, and my son's studying to be a firefighter. So just putting that feather in the back of your cap to think about.
Absolutely. And I know that. And my son is actually, my 21-year-old son, and I mentioned previously, is pretty high up on the Columbus, Ohio Firefighter Academy list roster, waiting for his call to start the academy. So a lot of friends that are firefighters, number of friends that are Columbus SWAT, the Ohio State Troopers SRT, or Strategic Response Team members. So my network of family and friends not only is in the military, but first responders, law enforcement, EMTs, firefighters, myself. So they're all near and dear to my heart.
I think maybe that explains why when your contact information was forwarded to me in my phone, it says Sergeant Major Bad. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's the background there.
Yeah.
Hey, some of the styles that are coming out, where do you get the design? Do you send that off to a designer and say, do it? Or do you have in your mind what you want those styles to look like?
Well, good question. So a lot of it's in my mind. I am not a terrible artist myself. I don't think I'll ever produce, other than the idea. I don't know that I'll ever do the artwork that will appear on any of our items. But what I do is, it's funny. I actually keep these 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper in my backpack that I carry with me every day in a little folder. And what they've got is I don't have one real close handy, but they've got basically a cartoonish looking drawing of the front and the back of a t-shirt. And it's in a landscape size, so I get a decent size look at both of the front and the back. And I'll literally just when I'm driving in my truck, when I'm anywhere, I hear something in the news, in the media, some inspiration, I literally just draw it on a picture on that piece of paper. I take a picture of it with my phone and I send it to my graphic artist, who right now is not an employee, but he does piecemeal work for me. One of these days, I hope that Operator Style will do well enough that I can actually hire him.
That's awesome. Hey, by the way, thank you as well. Greg Barnhart's on here. He just made another reply to an earlier question. And thank you, Greg, also for your service. So surrounded by amazing people who've done incredible things. Anything else you want to share with us about Operator Style or your amazing history?
Well, it's funny. I was telling you before we went on air. So this is the logo, and
hold it up a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. Yep. That's it.
So I'll tell you a funny story. So I was walking through Whole Foods. This was maybe probably about a year ago, in May last year, May or June. And I went in there to get some vitamins that a chiropractor friend of mine had recommended. And I walked out with this little brown paper bag because all I had was this one bottle of vitamins in it. And while I'd been walking around in there, somehow this logo um, just hit my mind. And as you and I were discussing before we went on the air and live, is that I didn't say, one day, oh, when I get out of the military, I want to start an apparel company. I didn't think, oh, my dream, my life dream, my life work has been to make, t-shirts and mugs and hats and decals and things. But this idea came, it popped into my head. I walked out to my truck and I took out a pen, and I didn't have any paper in my truck, so I took the brown paper bag that's the Whole Foods bag and literally drew this on it, almost exactly as it stands today. And
What do they mean? What are
yeah,
the arrows and the sword?
so the knife is what's called a V42 knife that was made during the course of the Second World War for an organization that was called the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, which was basically the predecessor of both Army Special Forces and what we know today as the CIA. So the OSS was an elite group of volunteer only elite group of soldiers that fought behind the enemy lines in World War II and ultimately kind of split and became both the modern day Army Special Forces and CIA. So in that, you have the V42 knife in the center, and then on around the knife you have the two arrows. And what the arrows represent is the field craft of the Native American Indians. So a lot of our training goes into things like survival training, um, and utilizing what we call field craft, which is, the ability to get out into the woods or into an environment and camouflage yourself and move around secretly or quietly without detection and things like that, kind of like the Native Americans would have used in order to hunt game or hunt the buffalo or bison and things like that, to be able to sneak up on your adversary or your prey. So those arrows are a tip of the hat, if you will, to the tradecraft of Native American Indians. And so the V42 knife and the crossed arrows are the insignia of Army Special Forces. So from there, the U.S. is kind of self-explanatory, obviously. 1961 is an interesting year because I kind of touched on this earlier, and I told you I'd get back to it. Officially, Army Special Forces started in 1952 after World War II. However, as I mentioned, what we are sometimes known as Green Berets, we kind of unofficially stole the Green Beret from the British SAS. And it was an unauthorized headgear or hat, unauthorized in the U.S. Army. And in 1961, then President John F. Kennedy, who was kind of the patron saint, if you will, of Army Special Forces, came to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and visited the Special Forces there, who was at the time headed by General Yarborough. And General Yarborough, despite being warned by the commanding general of Fort Bragg not to wear the Green Berets in front of President Kennedy, went ahead and he himself, along with the rest of his guys, all wore the Green Beret that day. And very, very short. Well, John F. Kennedy was famously asked General Yarborough how he and the men liked the Green Beret, and General Yarborough replied with "Very much, sir." So for me, although the Special Forces started in 1952, what we are really known as Green Berets, and that really came to fruition with John F. Kennedy in 1961, and that's kind of the meaning of the 1961. Um, Below the V42 knife, you'll see in Roman numerals 35, and that is a honorary tip of the hat to John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States of America. Now, during that same era of time, John F. Kennedy was famously quoted as talking about the Green Berets, and he said it was a mark of distinction, a badge of courage, and a symbol of excellence. And he went on to say, in the fight for freedom. So basically, I took a piece of that quote and used a symbol of excellence on the bottom of that. So the logo is very much kind of an honorarium, if you will, to my experience as an Army Green Beret, and also to John F. Kennedy's very pivotal and key kind of position in our history as Army Special Forces, as Green Berets. As far as the name operator style, Green Berets, like myself, Special Forces, Navy SEALs, the Force Recon, and what's called MARSOC, or Marine Special Operation Command. All of those types of units are generically known as Special Operations Forces. Only truly are Army Green Berets Special Forces. We're the a lot of times that name Special Forces gets utilized out in the media when what they really should be saying is Special Operations Forces, which is a kind of a generic umbrella term for Green Berets, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, the Air Force pararescue guys, the MARSOC, and then Force Recon of the Marines are all Special Operations Forces. So the word operator comes from, if you're a special operations unit, then the guys or the gals in some cases, and that's going to grow more and more here, are known as special operators, and hence the name operator style. So it's just kind of a lifestyle, like you said, if you will. Some of the clothes, like this polo shirt I'm wearing, actually has holes, not holes on it, but things on it. Like right here is a little loop you won't be able to see, I'm sure, but that you can hook a microphone into. So if you're like a police detective or something and you've got your radio on your belt, there's actually a position on this shirt where you can hook your microphone right here in front of you. It's also got positions up in the collarbone areas where you can bring the wiring from earpieces from a communications system up through your shirt and into your ear. So it's although it looks very nice and it's a very well made, well fitting polo shirt, it actually has some of those tactical aspects built into it, and that's kind of what we're going for with that, with operator style, is a look and appearance of what special operators and police officers and first responders and stuff, even hunters and shooters, just general guys, gals that are into the shooting sports and things like that, certainly would be apparel and accessories that they might appeal to them.
So those shirts will be available at some point for sale as well.
Yes, yep, they are. And they come, like the shirt you're wearing comes in 3 different colors. It comes in charcoal gray. You're wearing the heather gray, and then it comes in an olive, or sometimes people, especially military type people, call it OD green, kind of an olive green color. Excuse me. Same with this shirt. Um, the men's comes in the black, which I'm wearing. It comes in that OD or olive green. It comes in a charcoal gray. The women's colors are slightly different because in order to keep the same shirt, like my wife's shirt, she has the green and the black, I think, and then has a pretty cool looking kind of, boy, I don't know what color blue you'd call it, or kind of like a royal blue. Kind of neat.
That would be
So
pretty on her.
yeah, we're gonna have, as I mentioned, we're getting into some long sleeve shirts, some sweatshirts, V-neck shirts. Right now, the shirt you're wearing is unisex. Same with the logo t-shirt version that I showed you a moment ago. But we're going to get into some women's cuts on them too that might have, the V-neck collars and things more than men wear typically. But we're gonna develop a line for for women, for men. We're gonna have some infant and baby stuff. We made up a shirt the other day that said, a while back actually, that's a women's shirt with a V-neck, that has a picture of a green beret on the front, and then it says "Future Green Beret on board," and it was designed for a special person for maternity. The husband was a Green Beret, is a Green Beret, and it was designed for the wife while she was pregnant. So, future Green Beret on board. And
So something you mentioned before, Kevin, that
yeah,
it's very important, and this has to get out there. Is a big part of who you are, is giving back, and from your experiences. So
yes,
tell us a little bit about that. You give
thank
back
you.
with this
Yeah,
company.
thank you for bringing that up. I would have forgotten that myself, and that is an important aspect. Um, Couple different avenues there. So what we're going to do is giving 10% of all profits, and as we start making more money, God willing, um, I hope that percentage will actually increase. I'm not in this to make a bunch of money or become a gazillionaire or anything like that. I'm in it because it's kind of a cool hobby, and I think it's kind of fun, um, and keeps my creative juices flowing and stuff, coming up with the ideas for the apparel and different accessories. So that's what I'm looking to get out of it personally. But we are going to be giving back to several different military charities. The first is the Green Beret Foundation, near and dear to my heart as a Green Beret. You can find them all out there. They're easy. Just simply, I don't know their address off the top of my head. I think it's greenberetfoundation.org, I believe, but you can just simply Google the Green Beret Foundation. The second one is actually called Save a Warrior. It's actually based here in Central Ohio, and they also have a West Coast location in Malibu, California. Their mission in life is to hopefully stop or at least slow down and ebb the flow of suicide, particularly in the veteran and service member and also the first responder communities. Some of you may have heard the term 22 or the number 22 in reference to 22 veterans a day on average take their own lives, which is just a staggering number. The number is getting almost as bad and is in near epidemic portions in the first responder and law enforcement communities also. Last 2 years, more first responders have died at their own hands than in the line of duty, which is just a sad, sad statistic. But Save a Warrior, their website I do know, saveawarrior.org, is a organization that is trying to combat PTSD, and the suicide epidemic among veterans and first responders. I went through their program in March, late February into the first day or two of March of a year ago, of 2019, and it was game changing for me. It took me from being in a very dark place and just kind of going through the motions of life, and brought me back to having fun, enjoying life, and able to see the beauty in life, and move on or move forward productively from the things I've experienced. So they are near, excuse me, a little choked up.
So I would definitely ask everybody here, if you're watching, not only go out to operatorstyle.us, put in your email address so you can be notified when the website goes live, but also check out the Green Beret Foundation and saveawarrior.org.
Yeah.
Priceless.
Absolutely. One other one I'd like to mention real quick too is
Mhm.
called Veterans in Pain, or VIP. I sit on the board there. We're a fairly new, about year and a half old charity. And ultimately, what we're doing is promoting and facilitating pro bono stem cell therapy, regenerative stem cell therapy for veterans suffering from chronic pain conditions. And not just wounds of war, but a lot of our first patients are combat wounded veterans, but any service member with chronic pain and injuries and wounds from their service is eligible to apply. We're based out of California, and what we're in the process of doing is developing a nationwide network of doctors and vendors that will provide not only the stem cell materials, but also the not surgeries, but the procedures. And we've had a number of very, very successful stories so far with that, and we're very excited. We're on a shoestring budget as a charity, as far as charities go. We're just getting kind of really up and moving. Haven't done much in the way of formal fundraising yet, but I sit on the board, and those are the three charities that Operator Style will ultimately help in however much capability we can.
So again, that last one was called Veterans in Pain.
Veterans in Pain, correct.
Okay. So let's put this on our calendars. When you've got more information launched or starting fundraising, let's
Yep.
get back together later this year and maybe talk more specifically about that.
Yes, and when the website operatorstyle.us does come online, there will be links to all three of those charities, and we're going to have that network affiliation with them, and they will have their logos and direct links to the organization from the Operator Style website once that comes online.
Kevin, you're amazing. I thank you. And as it says in our comments from others, that I thank you for your service. Thank you for sharing a history lesson with us today. I learned a lot. That was really, really very cool. So
Well, thank you.
much better than sitting in a classroom. So
Yeah,
see, at home learning and distance learning, it's pretty fun.
it can be. Yeah, it can be. Well,
It can be. You
yeah,
were my COVID stay at home learning today.
right, right. Yeah.
So that being said, thank you and all the way around. And boy, we need this to get back to normal. Can we meet you and Kelly maybe at the corner for some margaritas again? And the Berets
Absolutely.
seem
Yeah. Yeah. We that's usually our Friday evening hangout. So we'll definitely hook up and have some Mexican and some margaritas.
that is a deal, my friend.
Well,
All right.
thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it. God bless everybody. Stay healthy. Stay safe.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in and asked questions, and who watches it as we go. If you have any questions, again, contact Kevin Colwell. You've got his email has already been posted by someone for us in the comments, but we'll make sure the links that we've discussed are there as well. So, meantime, everybody out there, stay safe, stay healthy, and we will talk with you soon. Bye.